Hey guys, Patrick from Iron Rock Off-Road here. Now you got lights on your Jeep, probably on your bumpers, maybe on those big windshield light bars. But have you ever had a steerable light? Now you can. We've got our Iron Rock Off-Road steering knuckle light brackets here, made from 10 gauge steel, powder coated black, bent and welded, ready for install. As you can see, we've got our bolt holes here, and we're going to use our unit bearing bolts on the steering knuckle for the mounting, so no additional hardware necessary. That said, let's throw them on the JL behind me. All right, we got the unit bearing bolts out on the driver's side here, and just like we said, the holes in the bracket will line right up with that. So just send your hardware on through and crank it back down. Yeah, that ain't going anywhere. So we've got the brackets on, super easy. Just axle off the ground, take the weight off the hubs, 2 bolts out, 2 bolts in, slap her in, good to go. Now it's the lighting portion. What can we fit in here? There's some considerations you want to make. You know, what's your tire size? What's your wheel offset? What kind of steering do you have? Do you have a flip drag link? You know, all those things go into account. Also, for certain applications, this one in particular, a JL Rubicon, we need to be a little bit careful of the C, you know, when we're going to full lock. And especially, we've got a C gusset here, so that's going to close up our gap when the wheel swings in over here. For today, we are going to be using a 2-inch pod. 2 inches, pretty easy to fit in there. You can get up to 3, but then you got to start being a little bit more careful on, you know, is it round or is it square, is it rectangular? You know, what is the height of the bracket that comes with the light and all those things. Now, the top of the bracket is slotted, so we do have quite a bit of movement to play with up there to get this thing in a nice, safe area. But we want to make all those considerations before we choose our light and install that light. But we're about at that point with these 2-inch pods, so we're going to start installing them. All right, looks like we got a good spot on that bracket. We're not running that light into the sea. Good to go here. So you might be kind of wondering, how are you supposed to run your wires from, you know, this position all the way up into the engine bay and get it to, you know, a place where you can run switch wire? Well, easiest thing is just to follow what's already there. You know, this light is in the same moving position as your brakes, right? So you can follow your brake lines and hoses and your ABS wire, you know, follow that all the way down, you know, along your axle connections, and then shoot up to the frame in the same spot that they do. You know, find a hole, you know, through the mess of the engine bay, and then, yeah, just run your wires to where they're not going to be in the way. Because we know now, you know, from cycling our suspension and doing our due diligence there, that our brake hoses are good, our ABS wires are fine. So if we follow that same routing and give the same amount of slack, we're golden. So once we routed our wire up the brake hoses and the ABS lines, you know, we kind of popped up around the ABS module, and we can just route it up along the top of the firewall here and head over there. And being we're working on a JL with the factory aux buttons, we can just tap into the factory supplied wiring and away we go. Now, another important decision you have to make with your light is your color and your beam pattern. Now, the owner of this one opted for an amber, as you can see, and this one's got a little bit of a wider flood type of beam. We find a lot of preference edging towards a spot beam because that beam pattern is a lot more concentrated at the source, at the light, which means it's going to have a better job getting past that wheel and tire package and having that nice sweeping light out at a distance when you're moving your steering wheel. Now, we got a ton of applications for these brackets, and you can find them at ironrockoffroad.com.